Hello everyone, today Hathan continues to tell 5 stories about life. Please listen. Story 211 Dawn in Another Land. 2. A young girl living in a small coastal village in central Vietnam, always felt a strange urge in her heart. She grew up with long white sand beaches, waves lapping at her ears, but 2 always thought of a larger world, a place that was not only peaceful scenery but also undiscovered adventures. One day, while walking on the beach at dawn, 2 met a strange man, wearing a thick coat. His deep eyes seemed to contain countless untold stories. His name was Alexander, a photographer from Italy. He shared with 2 about his journeys through faraway countries, about mysterious cities, strange roads and magical natural paintings that he had captured during his years of wandering. "You cannot know all the beauty of this world if you do not step outside," Alexander said, his eyes sparkling like the stars at night. The towering mountains of the Himalayas, the deep valleys of New Zealand, or the sparkling vineyards of Tuscany. Each place has its own beauty. Its own story that you can only feel if you dare to go. Alexander's words were like a fire burning in 2's heart. She felt like a child standing in front of an open door to an unexplored world. And in just a short moment, 2 decided that she would not let her life be limited to this village. She had to go, to seek out new stories, new scenes, new relationships to understand more about herself. 2's first trip was to Japan, a place she had always dreamed of visiting. She walked through the small streets of the old town of Kyoto, where the brilliant red maple leaves fluttered down like butterflies flying in the wind. There, 2 learned peace in every breath, and felt the precious stillness of the present moments. She met gentle people who only said one sentence but made her feel that life was more precious than ever. The next trip took 2 to Paris, where she wandered through the old streets, where the cafes were fragrant and the afternoons were romantic. 2 felt like she was living in a painting, where every step was like a melody. Especially, on a sunset evening in Montmartre, 2 met a young artist who painted her portrait. "What you seek is not the places you go through, but the emotions you leave in each place," he said. When she returned to her hometown, 2 had changed. She was no longer the girl who only knew how to look out to sea and dream. She saw this world not only through what she had learned, but also through the emotions and stories that each trip brought. 2 began to share her experiences with the villagers, encouraging them to broaden their horizons and constantly explore the world out there. Min, a boy in the village, looked at 2 with admiration. He asked her about her travels, and 2 smiled. "Life is a journey, Min. Don't be afraid to go out and explore the world, because it is in those journeys that you will find the most precious thing. Yourself." Lessons learned traveling is not only to explore new lands but also to learn more about yourself. When you step out of your comfort zone, you will see the diversity and richness of life. Every journey is an opportunity to love life more, love people more, and love yourself more. So, don't hesitate, go to find romantic moments and profound lessons that this world brings.
Story 212 Lessons from the Teacher. Luke is a young musician full of passion but lacking in confidence. Although he can play the piano fluently and knows all the musical techniques, his compositions still lack uniqueness and real emotion. He always feels like he is following a pattern, lacking a unique voice in his music. One day, at a concert in Paris, Luke accidentally heard a piece of music composed by Erik, a veteran musician. Those melodies not only caught his ears but also touched his heart. Luke decided to meet Erik to learn. When he met Erik, Luke did not hesitate to ask, "Can you show me how to create music with such emotion?" Erik looked at Luke and smiled. "To create music with soul, you must understand one thing: music is not just notes or techniques. It is emotion. Emotions are what make the difference." Luke looked at him with a puzzled look. "But how can I do that?" "You have to learn to listen to your heart," Erik replied. "Your emotions will teach you how to create. Don't just rely on what you've learned. Let your music come from your true feelings." During the following weeks, Erik did not teach Luke any more theory. Instead, he took Luke to concerts, asked him to listen to the wind, the rain, and observe the people around him. The emotions of this world will teach you how to write music, Erik said. And then, Luke began to compose music that was no longer dry or formulaic. Each of his melodies began to tell a story, carrying emotion, freedom, and sophistication. When he first performed his compositions, the audience not only saw a talented musician but also felt the story he wanted to tell through each note. Lessons. Learning from those who are better than you not only helps you improve your skills but also broadens your vision and helps you understand that the most valuable things are not always found in books. Sometimes, emotions and creativity come from listening to what your heart really wants to say.
Story 213. Lucas's life. Lucas is a talented software engineer living in a modern city with all the amenities. He dreams of creating an application that can change the industry and bring convenience to millions of people. But there is one problem he cannot overcome: procrastination. Whenever Lucas thinks about the big project he wants to do, he feels hesitant. He has a clear plan, but then he puts it aside. "I'll do it tomorrow, just need a little more time to study," Lucas often tells himself. And then tomorrow, next week, next month, he is still standing in the same place. Small projects and daily tasks are completed, but the big ideas, the projects that he knows will help him achieve his big dream, are left unfinished. Lucas begins to realize that he is falling into a procrastination spiral, and things are getting harder and harder. One day, while working in the office, Lucas heard a story about a former colleague, Anna, who left the company to pursue her dream of developing a mobile application. Anna was not the most talented person, but she always knew how to get to work immediately and persistently pursue her goals. Lucas heard that she had completed an application that was very successful and widely used. Anna's story made Lucas think. He realized that while she took action and kept moving forward, he was only procrastinating and tormenting himself about what he had not done. That was the moment Lucas realized that procrastination not only cost him opportunities but also made projects more difficult than ever. Immediately, Lucas decided to change. He started planning the application that he had been thinking about for so long. With no reason to procrastinate anymore, he decided to work a little bit each day, not letting the work weigh him down. The small projects he had been working on became easier, and he began to complete each step of his big plan. A few months later, Lucas had a finished app. Although it wasn't perfect, he felt proud that he had dared to step out of his comfort zone and do what he had promised. His app was well received by users, and he began to receive positive feedback. Lucas learned that procrastination only makes things harder. If you have an idea, a dream, start working on it right away. Don't let days go by in vain, because every day you procrastinate is a day you lose an opportunity. Lessons learned: procrastination only makes you feel tired and anxious as work piles up. Take action when you have the opportunity, don't wait for the perfect moment. Starting early will help you get closer to your goals and reduce the difficulties on the road to success.
Story 214. Erik's mistakes. Erik is a talented carpenter living in a small village in the snowy mountains of northern Europe. He is famous for his perfect wood products, trusted and loved by everyone. One day, a friend's family asked him to make a new table and chairs for their house. Erik accepted the request and started the job, confident that he would do it well. However, when the table and chairs were completed and delivered, everyone in the family was disappointed because the table was too big for the dining room space. Erik, at first, did not want to admit his mistake. He thought that maybe the family had changed the design plan, or the space in the house was not as requested. But when he saw the disappointment on his family's faces, he began to wonder if it was his own fault. That night, sitting in the woodworking shop, Erik thought it over. He realized that he had made a mistake in measuring, and instead of blaming, he needed to face his mistake. The next morning, Erik went to his family, admitted his mistake, and sincerely apologized. He said, "I made a mistake and I will fix it right away." Let me remake the table for you. The family did not expect Erik to admit his mistakes so frankly. They appreciated his sincerity and determination. Erik rebuilt the new table, exactly as the family requested, and this time, they were very satisfied. Through this experience, Erik realized that admitting mistakes and correcting them is important. Mistakes are not the end, but opportunities to learn and improve. He understood that if he did not face his mistakes, he would not be able to progress. Lessons learned. No one is perfect, and we all make mistakes. The important thing is to admit mistakes and correct them. This helps us grow, learn from our mistakes and become better people every day.
Story 215. Clara's story. Clara is a girl who lives on the coast of Normandy, France. Every morning, she walks along the beach, letting the wind blow through her hair and watching the waves, but she always feels that something is missing. Clara has a good job, close friends, but she cannot find true joy in life. She feels insecure and does not know how to love herself. One spring afternoon, when Clara was sitting on a wooden chair looking at the sea, Mrs. Margot, an old painter with silver hair, came and sat next to her. She looked at Clara with kind eyes and smiled. "Young lady, what are you looking for?" Clara smiled softly, replied, "I don't know. I feel that I am not enough, not beautiful enough, not smart enough, not enough, everything." Madame Margot looked at Clara for a long time and said, "You know, we are all like paintings. If you only look at one stroke, you cannot see the beauty of the painting. But when you look at the whole, all the strokes, no matter how small or large, contribute to creating a complete work. Just like you don't need to be perfect to see yourself as worthy of love. You just need to look at yourself and realize that it is your imperfections that make you special." Clara was surprised by her words. She thought about them silently for many days. Madame Margot continued, "You know, there is no one in this world like you. You have things that only you can give: warmth, intelligence, devotion. And you need to love yourself before you can love anyone else." Gradually, Clara began to change. She began to accept her flaws, no longer torturing herself by comparing herself to others. She learned to love the little things, her own hobbies like watching the sunset or painting in her small room. Clara realized that it was those things that made her valuable. One afternoon, Clara stood in front of the mirror, looked into her eyes and smiled. She no longer felt like she was lacking. She loved herself more, and from then on, every day became more beautiful to her. Lessons learned. Loving yourself is the key to opening the door to happiness and confidence. When you look at yourself and realize that your flaws are not something to be sad about, but an indispensable part of what makes you special, you will feel stronger and more beautiful. Love yourself so that the world around you will love you too. Thank you for listening. Goodbye and see you in the next short stories about life.